but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
I hope you're doing really well today. I'm going to post in this video, a portion of it is an older video from 2016, and it's about the celebration of Christ's birthday, Yeshua's birthday. And of course, many think it was during Sukkot that he was actually born. But Bethlehem in past years was always really beautiful. And even in Jerusalem, were a lot of festive accounts for Yeshua. And so I put that included in here. But I would like to talk to you. You know, the ancient prophets spoke about the Messiah coming, and they gave a lot of great descriptions of what he would be. And there's so many of them, but I'll just give you some that I just now picked out. Okay, if you look at Psalm 78:2, of course, Psalm was written by, sorry, that was my book just crashed. That was to do with King David writing this, and he was very prophetic. This is what it says: I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter proverbs of old. Okay, so there he's describing Yeshua speaking in parables. Then you look at Jeremiah 31:31. I will make a new covenant. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That's Yeshua. Then take a look at Malachi 3:1. And this was a description of John the Baptist coming to make the way for Yeshua. Behold, I shall send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And then it goes on from there. Okay, so that was, like I say, that was about John the Baptist, who would announce his coming. And then if you look at Numbers 21:9, and how Moses had made the serpent of brass because many of the Israelites, they had transgressed, and so they received a judgment of serpents that bit them. And so he was told by Abba to have a big tall brass serpent, and if they looked up on that, it was a serpent on a pole, and if they looked up at that and beheld it, they'd be healed. That's referring to Yeshua. Okay, all right. Then if you look at, let's go into Torah. Take a look at Genesis 49:10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until the coming of the one, who's that? Yeshua, to whom the scepter belongs, to whom the Gentiles shall look forward. Here's another one in the Torah, Numbers 24:17. I have seen him, but not clearly enough. I beheld him, but he was not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, which means Israel, and a prince shall rise out of Israel. And of course Moses wrote that. Here's another really profound one. This is Zechariah 9:9. It says, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout out, daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king comes to you. He is righteous and a savior, lowly riding on an ass, upon a colt. Again, that's Zechariah 9:9. Deuteronomy, it says in 21:23, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of God, that the land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. Okay, that's referring to Yeshua. Then look at, take a look at Micah. Here's a really good one. Micah 5:2. And you, Bethlehem, Ephratah, though you are little among the thousands of towns of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth a ruler to govern Israel, whose goings forth have been predicted of old from eternity. That was Micah speaking. Okay, now, in Isaiah, there's just many in Isaiah. But here's a real profound one. It's Isaiah 7:14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Then look at Isaiah 9:1, verse 1. The land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali have rejoiced, the mighty dominion, the way by the sea, the country beyond the river Jordan, and Galilee. And then it says, of the Gentiles have rejoiced. Okay, and then verse 2 of that, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them has the light shined. That's all about Yeshua. Then let's look at Isaiah 9:6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and his name is called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty One, the Everlasting God, the Prince of Peace. Then take a look at 7. It says, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So he will sit on the throne of David. Okay, then take a look at Isaiah 11:1. And there shall come forth a shoot out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Okay, who's the branch? Yeshua. He comes out of the lineage of Jesse. If you trace it back, he came out of the lineage of Seth from Adam and Eve, which would be, if you look in, it would be in Genesis. If you take a look at the very beginning of Genesis, in the early chapters, you'll find that verse. And then take a look at verse 2 of that. This would be Isaiah chapter 11, verse 2. And he shall be at peace, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. Then if you look at John 1:32, it says, in John the Baptist saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it rested upon him. Who's that? Jesus, Yeshua. Okay, then it says, if you look at 4 of chapter 11 of Isaiah, but with justice shall he judge the poor, and reprove with uprightness for the meek of the earth, and he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall slay the wicked. Okay, and then if you look at verse 10, this is again about the root of Jesse. An heir of Jesse, which shall stand as an ensign to the peoples, to him the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Okay, that's again the Messiah. Then look at Isaiah 22, verse 22. I will place upon his shoulder the keys of the house of David. So he shall open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. Okay, beautiful verses. And then here's one about, if you go to Isaiah 53, I mean, that whole chapter is incredible. The great defined description of Yeshua, wounded for our transgressions. Okay, then take a look at Zechariah 13:6. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in your hands? And he shall say, these are wounds with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Okay, that's Yeshua. There's another one. This one is powerful. This is Zechariah 12:10. It says, and I will pour out upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and mercies, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. Who's that? Yeshua. He was pierced in Jerusalem, and he will reign in the millennial reign in Jerusalem. And they shall mourn for him as they mourn for an only son, and shall grieve for him as they grieve over the firstborn. I get so excited, don't you? I mean, the scriptures just come alive when you start really going into them. Oh, it's exciting, because it's always talking about Yeshua. First, excuse me, that was my pen that just thunked the table. So we have a lot to look forward to. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine. Israel, I can't even talk about what's going on. It's just changed so much. But this is all the plan. Father is in complete control, and this is the plan, and this is where we're at. And I do believe we're in the book of Revelation 13. And so hopefully you're studying Revelation. And as far as Bible prophecy, there's so much prophecy throughout the Bible. I mean, at least a third of the Bible is prophecy. And much of it has been fulfilled, but there's still stuff that is left, that has not come to pass. But it sure, if you look at Revelation, to me, I'm thinking, wow, it sure is looking close to the tribulation. Things are definitely being put into place for that. We can see it right in front of our very eyes. And if we look at the Olivet Discourse, take a look through Matthew 24 and then kind of compare it to what's going on, kind of like a checklist that Yeshua gave. Just fascinating to me of how these scriptures, they just all, they are all throughout the Bible, but they all kind of, the more you study it, the more it all comes together to show you this picture of the Messiah. And again, we will be kings and priests. Hallelujah. Much to look forward to in the realms of the glory realms of the universe. So the New Jerusalem will be, it says in Revelation how there will be a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth. It also talks about, it says kings and priests, and it also mentions about ruling the nations. I believe we're just going to have many, many things bestowed upon each one of us. Our giftings are eternal. Father gave them before we were in our mother's womb. These gifts that he gave us. Hallelujah for that. Think about it. These are eternal gifts that we were given. So as our bodies transcend, which they will, into glory bodies, again, that would be 1 Corinthians chapter 15, the same body as Yeshua's, which then we have all the powers of him, and we are sons of God. Actually, he calls us sons of God here on earth. Those that are born again believers are sons of God. And how are we to be? We are to be imitators of him here on earth. Did you know that? I think that's in Ephesians, about being imitators of God. So he is telling us, as we walk the earth, we are to be an imitator of him. We are to be a holy, set-aside people. We are not to belong to Lucifer's government. We are not part of his whole thing. We are sons of God. And so our world should be exactly what he shares right here in our scriptures of what our world is. And our world is eternal. Lucifer, we know what happens to him. We know the end of the story. We're the ones that come out in the glorious eternal reign with Yeshua. That's what we come out, those that are victorious in him. And so we give him all of our praise, all of our thanksgiving for what he has done for us by coming to earth in flesh and shedding his precious blood on the cross to give as a gift to everyone that accepts it and lives it with him. Through our faith, my friend, through our faith we become righteous to him through what he has done on the cross, and again shedding his precious blood for us. So that's why I feel it's important to celebrate him at this time of the year, and I do. I celebrate it. I love some of the Christmas songs. I love them. They're beautiful, and they're Holy Spirit anointed songs, even like Handel's Messiah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful music that I do get taken in my spirit to those heavenly realms. And if we think about it, we can sit right now in those heavenly realms with our spirit. And we have to keep remembering, because we forget so often because of worldly distractions, that we are spiritual beings, born again beings of the Spirit of God. And so we flow in his Spirit. Hallelujah for that. And of course we walk in love. We don't judge. We walk in love. However, one thing I do want to say to you, if you take a look, if you study John about the Holy Spirit, he does say about rebuking sin, reproving sin. He speaks of that the Holy Spirit does do that. And we are each, as born agains, we're to have the Holy Spirit, which is him imparted into each one of us. So we are to do that. But he gives us also the Comforter, which is so glorious. Here, as we walk on these realms that we're in right now, we are given that, the beautiful Spirit of the Comforter. And so that is something that I think right now is so important for each one of us to, cry out to Abba Father as he gives us the Spirit of the Comforter, to encourage us, to nurture each one of us as we feel sometimes broken, we feel overwhelmed. We don't sometimes understand, all these things, yet he told us these things would happen. It's in the scriptures. We can look again, if we study the various parts of the Bible, the ancient prophets, we listen to Paul, what he was shown. That's in, like say for instance Thessalonians, where he talks about this government, which would be the beast system government. Take a look at especially like 2 Thessalonians. I think that's chapter 2. Take a look at that. We are in those times now. So anyway, what I think we can do right now is let the Comforter come upon us and rejoice in this time of peace on earth as our spirits think of Yeshua and reflect on him. And so now I'm going to say to you, I pray that you're just very blessed no matter what the circumstance is. We can sing just as Paul and Silas sang in the prison. Remember that? When they were in the footstock, and yet they were singing and praising the Lord with joy. No matter what their circumstances were, that's what they felt, because it was the Spirit in them feeling joy. And we can feel much joy right now in this time, celebrating the birth of Yeshua. Amen? Okay, so on with the video here. Again, this is an old one from 2016 that is going to be played. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate your coming back and listening to the video. And God willing, I'll return soon.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he and the soul felt its worth, a thrill of hope O night divine. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Let ever praise we. Noel, Noel, O night divine. Noel, Noel, O night divine. Noel, Noel, O night divine.
A character mentioned in the Bible, and he's a king, and it's King Herod. And it's interesting because it was King Herod that ordered that all children to be murdered because of him hearing about Jesus being born King of the Jews, and he was very upset about it, and he did not want Jesus to exist, so he commanded that they all these children be murdered. So it's interesting to do a little research on Herod, because you always wonder what was he like. At least I do. And so I'm going to read some different clips here of some research I've done. It says Herod the Great was son of Antipater and made king over the Romans in 40 BC. He managed to keep hold of his throne in the face of many changes that were going on in the government of Rome. His kingdom was comprised of Judea, Samaria, Galilee, Idumea, Bathania, Perea, and it was about the same size as what King David and Solomon reigned. Although Herod had exceptional leadership skills, he was extremely disliked by the Jewish people. His attitude towards the Maccabean dynasty, to which he was related to by marriage, along with his insolence and cruelty, angered them all the more. He even had his brother-in-law and several of his wives and sons, his very own sons, executed. He forced heavy taxes and brutally repressed any rebellions. But it was by his policy of Hellenistic culture that he greatly wounded the Jews. The construction of a race course, a theater, and an amphitheater in Jerusalem, his wide support of the emperor cult in the east, and the construction of pagan temples in foreign cities at his own expense could not be forgiven. even though he restored and reconstructed the temple of Jerusalem, which part of the wall still stands to this very day. This is chapter 2 in the book of Matthew in King James Version. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men. Now it doesn't say 3 wise men. This says there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, and inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. Now, this is interesting, because it says in the Bible, it was one, like a star that appeared. Now, when you do your research nowadays, it says like it was a planet lineup. Okay. And then it says, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over the young child, where the young child was. Okay, so it's calling it a star. Now, there is a star that appeared recently. That was last year, 2015, in the month of June. And NASA said it was the same star that appeared when Jesus was born. But they said it was like a planet lineup that caused this effect of where the star, it looked like a big bright star, and that it stood. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and they departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of by the Lord the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. Then it goes on to say that after Herod died, the family went from Egypt up to Nazareth, and of course this all unfolded as to that was the childhood of Jesus. He grew up in the home of the city of Nazareth.